So I'm going to be talking about 4 things. I'm recording myself as well, because that way I'm going to show you what I do and why I'm recording it, because that way, more than likely, you're not going to remember everything I say. And if you do want to hear it, you can hear it again. So I'm recording myself. So I'm going to be talking about me and what I do, CatholicFundraiser.net. I'm going to be talking about the number one thing that everybody should be thinking about is attention. And if you're not getting attention, you're in obscurity. And if nobody knows who you are and what you do, nobody's ever going to donate to you. So I know we're all thinking about fundraising and getting that next gift. Well, if nobody knows who you are, nobody's ever going to give you any money. And if nobody knows who you are, they're never going to trust you. And in order to get somebody to donate to you, they have to trust you. So we're going to talk about getting attention, an approach to getting attention. We live in the 21st century. There's no better time to get attention. And I know the whole talk is, well, there's so much social media, there's so much internet, there's so many movies. It's a noisy world, which is horrible, but at the same time, it's fantastic. You just have to break through. If you break through, you're fine. So I'm going to talk about an approach, and I'm going to talk about action. I'm very pragmatic. I'm American as well. So you're going to get a whole bunch of Americans talking to you. I don't know how this happens, but Americans, I guess, like this topic. But I'm action-oriented. I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am and how I got into this. I'm an engineer by education. So when I looked at fundraising, I thought, okay, well, just break it down into steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the context of the Catholic Church. And I've got my phone, so that way I do not run over schedule, because they say on average people have 17 minutes worth of attention. And I want to have your attention. So this is my website, CatholicFundraiser.net. My claim to fame is I have no education in fundraising whatsoever, and I don't want any. I took one class. It's not to say that Catholic fundraising education is not important. It's just I've gotten so much education in other things. I thought, well, hopefully I can put this to practice. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. I have a Master's in Engineering. I have a Master's in Theology. And I have 10 years in professional consultancy. Before I was a fundraiser, I worked at a very large consulting firm called Accenture that pretty much they implemented like computer systems in the largest companies in the world. Then I worked at a company called PricewaterhouseCoopers, which does the audit of pretty much every major company in the world. They compete with other people called like Ernst & Young or Deloitte. So I got into fundraising because I wanted to speak to my priest about something that was happening in the parish that I thought wasn't very, it wasn't Catholic. So I was kind of complaining. And he took that opportunity to ask me for money. But he did it so poorly that I had absolutely no idea he was asking me for money, because I was focused on, I had all my documents, I had my case laid out, like this person that's speaking next week is not, they say they're Catholic, but what they're saying is not good. But he took the opportunity to ask me for money, but I wasn't in the mindset. And so it was from that conversation that I had with my priest, because I flipped through the documents and I'm like, you know what, this is pretty snazzy. As a professional, I'm like, look, there's no way that he wrote this, there's no way that he printed this, there's no way that he took these photos, and there's no way that when I went back to him and talked to him, there was no way that he did any of the prep. And I found out that there was a professional fundraising firm that helped him do everything. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know there were professionals that did this stuff. It was very professional, it was very slick, but at the same time, I was like, it's not that Catholic. So as a Catholic, I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, they got a picture of the Pope, they got a quote from Scripture, and then apart from that, it was all like, fancy, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And as a Catholic, I'm like, you know what? Nowhere was the mentioned words Jesus or Christ. Nowhere was there mentioned Our Lady. Nowhere was there mentioned church teaching. So I'm like, why is this not the case? And so who are these people? So I started volunteering in his fundraising firm. I was doing the phone calls. Then I took a 6-month sabbatical with my diocese. I was actually working in London, England at the time. So I took a 6-month sabbatical. And after that sabbatical, I went to go work for the diocese. So I quit my job, I quit my career, because I thought, my goodness, like, there's a whole lot more going on in the Catholic Church than I expected. Like, you have retired priests, you have the seminary, you have all these different projects. And then I started recognizing, then you've got, religious sisters, you've got religious brothers, you have hospitals, you have schools, like, this whole world. And, I was in my 20s at the time, so I wasn't thinking about this stuff, but I was recognizing it's not just my parish, it's everybody. And nobody knows how to talk about money, and the only people that are helping them are these external fundraisers, which at times are good, but we can do better. And so my whole mission is to just try and make things a bit more Catholic. And for the past 5 years, so I spent 3 years learning, kind of like going through the ring of fire working at a diocese. I think if you want to know that the Holy Church is running the Catholic Church, you just work at a diocese. There's absolutely no way on the face of the earth that humans make the church move forward. There's so much incompetence. It's unbelievable. And I'm not pointing the finger, but it literally was like we'd be stuck on the littlest things. It was unbelievable. But for me, like, and I remember the finance director before I took the job, because he had worked in the finance sector before, and he happened to be American. He said, "Brice, you're going to really find it difficult because things are not the way they are in the professional world." And so he was trying to set me up. He was trying to tell me, look, if you're looking for the beauty of the church and working for a great mission, like, it's a struggle. And he was right, but I actually found it very, very beautiful. So because I found it beautiful, I stayed there for 3 years, and then I thought, wait, let me get this back up and running. Then I thought, but we can do better. And so my whole mission, I left, and all I've been doing since is pretty much helping small Catholic organizations. My focus is like the medium and the smalls, not if you've got a bishop, if you've got a cardinal, you just have to coach him. Like, you just have to, like, twist his arm if necessary and say, look, you're the head of the church here, you got to do this stuff. So dioceses, for the most part, are going to be fine. My focus is really small Catholic charities that really want to start. So if you don't know where to go, you don't know how to do things, and you're like, who the heck is going to ask me for money? And you're looking at all these big charities that have already a lot of money, and they already have their fundraisers, and they've got everything booked in the diary, and you're trying to get your little voice in there. I want to help you. I like you guys, because for one reason, you're already doing great things without any money. And that's like rule number one. If you actually believe in what you want to do, just do it. I speak several times a week to Catholics who are saying, like, we just need money. I'm like, no, you don't need money. You just need to get to work. Like, yeah, but we need money. I'm like, look, if Jesus, who is God, came down to earth and started with nothing, you can start with nothing. So that's a bit my spiel. I have a website. My objective is to help 1 million Catholics with their fundraising. Right now, I started my website mid last year, but I only really got it up and running this year. I get about 10,000 hits per month. So I'm helping about 10,000 Catholics every month, which I wow, that's unbelievable. And I help about 30 charities each month. I've also been quoted in the Catholic Herald, the National Catholic Register, Catholic TV. I don't know if you've heard of Jennifer Fulweiler. She's big in the United States. I'm on her radio show probably once every 3 months. She's a good friend. I've been on Guadalupe Radio. So my sole objective is to help. If you have any questions, you go to my website, and I'm going to show you what else I have on my website. Catechism of the Catholic Church. When's the last time, who's read their Catholic Catechism in the last month? Raise their hand. Okay. For me, the Catechism is one of the best resources for fundraising. It's unbelievable because it actually breaks down how you make it a request, the Catholic style. I'm not going to tell you how in this session. You have to go to my other session on how to ask in the Catholic way. There is a Catholic approach, and the Catechism talks to you about it. So, Catechism. Do not live entirely isolated, having retreated into yourselves as if you were already justified, but gather instead to seek the common good together. So too often, when we're doing stuff, we're like, man, we get cocooned. We're like, if people understand what I'm doing, they're going to get it. They're going to donate to me. You stay in your little cocoon of your mission and who you're helping. But you're not going out and you're not telling people what you're doing. Like, I have this religious order in Buffalo, New York. They're beautiful, but nobody knows what they do. And they wonder why. Then they wonder why nobody's donating to them. Like, well, does anybody go to your mass? And like, well, not really. Well, let's take steps back. You have to let people know what you're doing. So, I'm a big believer in video. I'm a huge fan of YouTube. Oh my gosh, that stuff is free. It is free to post on YouTube. So, but the big thing is like, well, I don't know how to use YouTube. I don't know how to do video. Nobody's really on it. My demographics is not in it. 65 and above is not on it. Like, these are the statistics. That this is a firm that does a whole bunch of analysis on the internet. So, just looking at mobile devices. So I'm going to try and tell you how important it is to be on video, and how it is important to just post things online and get people's attention. That's my number one thing. I want you to get people's attention. I want you, whether it's, you don't have to be on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube. Just pick one. My recommendation is YouTube. But like daily time spent. So this is 2014, 2015, 2016. So analog means your normal television. Digital means this guy and your laptop, which pretty much, does everybody have a laptop? Raise your hand. Does everybody have a smartphone? Raise your hand. Does everybody have a TV? Raise their hand. Okay, everyone, okay. So, okay, like I don't have a TV. But like 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes. Digital, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes now. Now you're probably thinking, well, my donor demographic is not on YouTube and is not on digital. Like, this is a graph. So I'm an engineer, I'm sorry, I'm technical. This is the only part that's technical. But here, age 65 plus, or 50 to 64, which I think is probably a good hotspot for most people in fundraising. Analog, so they spend the most amount of time in TV, 9 minutes. But look at the digital. These guys spend 4 minutes. 50 to 64 spend more time on the internet than 18 to 24-year-olds. And everyone's complaining that it's the young people that are on the internet. These guys, most people that are watching my YouTube videos are 50 to 64 or 35 to 49. These people, they're not saying they are. They're complaining. Oh, all the young people, they always have their phone, right in their face. No, you guys do. You're just in the office. Like, the young people don't have offices. They're doing it with their friends, and they're walking around on campus, and they're doing that. But you're sitting at your desk, and you're on the internet, and you're surfing. So, people, if you want attention, get on the internet and make your message known. And this is the number one reason why. It's free. That's why I love it. Like, everyone's saying, I don't have any money. How do I get people to know what I'm doing? Well, just YouTube, email, free, Facebook, free. Like, everybody's on it now. There's like, every now and again I get a Catholic organization that's saying, well, maybe, somebody approached me and they want to sell me a list. They want me to do a mailing. Do you know how expensive those are? They're expensive. You have no idea who that list is from. And the response rate is horrible. This is free. So I'm trying to look at what time we have. Okay, good. Is that resonating? Have I made, like, number one thing, attention. You have to get people's attention. I'm just telling you, one of the best ways to get people's attention is the internet. And I know it is apart from, like, the Immaculate Conception. I know I might be pulling a stretch here, but the Immaculate Conception and literally God coming, it's a gift. Like Pope Paul VI, we all quote Pope Paul VI about Humanae Vitae. He was the same guy, and we all talk about the new evangelization. If you read his apostolic exhortation on the new evangelization, he spends a considerable amount of time talking about social communications. And he literally says, if we do not use this, it's a I think he uses bold words. It's a disgrace to Christ himself. He says we have to use these and shout from rooftops. So we're all hesitant on using this stuff. Just like, so was I. Like, I had no idea what I was doing when I posted my first video. And I look back, I'm like, wow, I've come a long way. I still have no idea what I'm doing. But it's incredible. I'm going to show you why. These are my YouTube stats because I couldn't get anybody else to share me theirs. So I'm just going to tell you, in the past 28 days, I just want to show you that this is how incredible this is. The past 28 days, 2,728 minutes time has been spent watching me. That's equal to 45 hours. I've been watched 45 hours. The old saying is 15 minutes of fame. I literally got my first 15 minutes of fame in like less than half a day when I immediately posted on the internet. Do you know how much Catholics love watching religious people videos? They love watching you. I forward it probably once every 2 weeks, a video, either a religious person like riding a scooter, playing basketball, or saying a beautiful mass. Like, Catholics are on this stuff, and if they see something they like, they share it. So it's about attention. It's not just about asking people for money, it's about attention. So I get 1.5 hours per day of viewing, which I find overwhelming. And I'm small. I'm going to say I'm tiny. Sure, I'm competing in a noisy world where like you've got some people that have like 1 million subscribers to the YouTube channels, millions of views. I don't care. I'm not competing with them. If you're looking at somebody else, I forget which saint said it, but they said if you're comparing yourself to somebody else, it's diabolical. Because the only person you should be looking at is Christ. And just saying, I'm going right for you. 619 views equals 22 people watch me per day. 22, like right here, I've got about 22 people. So I got 22 people in this room, and I got 22 people in the World Wide Web watching me. So I've just doubled my figures. And people just know what I'm doing, and that's the objective. If people don't know what I'm doing, how can I do what I'm doing? And so I have the average view of 4 minutes and 24 seconds. So people are sitting down, and you're already over that, so you're doing fantastic. This is incredible. But people on average are watching me for 4 minutes. I find this incredible, and it's free. So my YouTube channel has grown each month consecutively. I mean, my recommendation to you is just post. Put something up once a week. That's it. The great thing about the Catholic Church is we're all about habits. We're all about rituals. We're all about routines. We're all about, we know we're not going to get to heaven, just doing, 100 things. It's like, it's the little bit each day. It's, one of the great things about the prayer life is you just get in the habit of speaking to God. Fine, if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, do it every day at 8 o'clock. But we're all about habits. We're all about routine. Just get in the routine of getting people's attention. And in the beginning, nobody watches your video. Who cares? Keep going. I'm a big believer in 1 Corinthians 3:16, if I have a good memory, where St. Paul says, I planted, Apollos watered, and God grew. You're not asked all the time to do the growing. You're not asked to do everything, but you are asked to do certain things. Plant. Just plant stuff. Get people's attention. I can't stress this enough. So, and, again, I'm a math guy. Good. We got a few more minutes. You got to do the math. So this is I'm not saying this is a fundraising plan, but you have to do the math. Like, some charities like, oh, I got to get $1 million. I just need $1 million. Okay, let's do the math. Like, what is your average donation? Most people don't know what their average donation is. You have to know what your average donation is. You have to have a starting point. Let's say your average donation is $300. Okay, if it's $300 and you want to make $1 million, or you want to make 100,000, raise 100,000. you either have to get 3,333 donors or 333 donors. So this is very raw. But I'm trying to prove my point of what I've been saying. How many of your contacts donate to you? Then you figure out, well, out of like everybody that you ask, how many people are saying yes? And it doesn't matter if you're a bad asker and most people are saying, look, we're designed from very young to say no, right? Because our parents are like always saying, don't touch this, don't do that, don't go there. So everybody on the planet Earth is designed to immediately say no. So, but that's fine. So just figure out how many of your contacts donate, whether it's 3%, 5%, 10%, 15, whatever. Then you figure out, okay, how many contacts do I need? So technically, if I want to raise $1 million, I just have to be in contact with 110,000, I can't even say that number. 111. Pardon? No, I don't even want to do that. But that's, you've got to get the attention of these people. I'm just trying to show you, in order to get this, you have to get people's attention. So get people's attention. Because fundraising is already difficult as it is. Asking people for money is difficult. That's why we have experts that can help us. But those experts can't help you if nobody knows you what you're doing. And the only people that can tell your story is yourself. A fundraiser can't do it. They can recommend ways of doing it, but if you're not going out and learning how to tell your story, 365, there's a reason we have 365 days. It's because we need 365 days. So it's not about telling your story at Christmas time, where they technically say, most donations are given during Christmas time. My theory is most donations are given at Christmas because that's when everybody's asking. Because nobody's done anything for 11 months. Nobody's shared their story for 11 months. So share your story. That's what you need. You just, if you want 1 million, that's it. And so you figure out how do you get contact? How do you approach people? So focus on what you have control over. You can control more or less how many people you contact. If you're saying 365 days out of the year, I'm going to go out and I'm going to share my story. And I'm going to ask people, share my story. Tell people, go and tell other people. Instead of saying, hey, do you know anybody who can ask me for a donation? Like, boy, do you put people in a difficult situation. Like you ask all your friends and family, hey, can you gather 5 people? I understand it's at certain times it's okay, but it's much more powerful if those people know your story, trust you, and then you ask. And then approach the Catechism of the Catholic Church. I talked about being consistent, otherwise you're irrelevant. There's no religious order that doesn't have a routine. They wake up, they have their routine. You have to have your routine. Use social media for what it's called. It's socializing. It's not, let's put a Facebook page and let's ask for donations. Like, even, you look at the major corporate, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, they're not asking people always to buy products. They're trying to get people's attention, and they do it quite well. And people are attracted to this stuff. And then transform the conversation. A lot of people don't know how to move from the social realm or the internet realm to the real world. Because everybody that's commenting, liking, sharing, whatever, there's a person behind that. And your objective is to figure out, okay, how do I translate those follows, those likes, those shares into how do I actually have a relationship with those people? So instead of running around from parish to parish, because I'm sure we have better things to do, you can just sit at your computer and figure out, okay, there's 1,000 people who like my Facebook page. What is the best way that I can find a way of engaging with those people on a one-on-one level? And all you have to do is do that from your computer, and you figure out, how do I connect with these people without using this machine? And that's what people aren't talking about. They're thinking, oh, this machine is horrible. It's destroying relationships. It's dissolving our structure. No, it's building so many reservoirs and connections that we would never had. I've met every single person because of the internet today. Like Chris Heron, the diocese, I direct messaged him on Twitter. That's how I got a relationship with him. Most people have contacted me through my website. the job that I got at the diocese was because I went to their website and I applied via email. And then I emailed them consistently until I got an interview. And in action. I'm hoping I'm not going over, but I'm assuming, and I'm very, very close. 2 minutes. It's not about one ask. So it's not just about asking somebody for a donation. Like fundraising, you've got to ask people constantly. You've got to get people to take action all the time. If somebody hears what you're doing, it's not enough. You want them to take action on what you're doing. So neither is it about asking groups of people. So like, it's great that I'm talking to each one of you right now, but I'd love to have like an individual conversation with each person. I'm going to try and do that and figure out like, what's the one thing, why has God put me in your life? You know, fundraising for a long time was, you know, after Mass, you know, you go up and then the priest says, we have someone who's going to speak to us today. And you speak to them like they're a glob of people. And then you just say, hey, can you give me a donation? No. Like, try and figure out, how do I connect with that one person? Yes, it takes some work, but that's how you get there. Be personal and speak to one person at a time. And so you've got to take this huge capacity with social media and the internet, where you can connect with millions of people, and it seems overwhelming, but you don't need all of them. You just figure out, I just need my group of people. Who are those group of people, and how do you have a one-on-one conversation? What are they saying? It's a contact sport. You've got to make contact. You've got to reach out to people. And always ask. Ask them to read things, watch things, listen, attend, share, like, comment, respond, donate. Those are all your asks. Like, because if you're not asking somebody to do something else, like be on a board or volunteer, it's the probability of them donating is diminished. So you want them to be a part of the mission, because that's the important part. Get them on board, get them moving forward, get them to see how incredible that is that you're doing, inspire them, and say, would you like to donate? And they're going to probably say yes. And then take them on the journey, be patient, and be persistent. I mean, I get Catholic charities that they haven't even started and they're tired. They're like, oh, it's difficult. I'm like, you haven't been up and running for 3 months. Like, just, like, I'll raise my hand. So I'm impatient. I want things immediately. I think that's in all of us. But you've got to be patient. If somebody says no, that's fine. Don't get bogged down and don't like, well, I guess we're not going to need them, and you just put them to the side. No! You figure out, well, why did they say no? And if you get a whole string of no's, you figure out, well, why are people saying no? And you have to figure that out and then come back to them. Even ask them, can I ask you why you said no? More than likely they're going to say, well, I really don't know what you're doing. Like, okay, how can I help? How can I tell you what I'm doing? What are the best ways? And they're going to tell you, and then just do that. Get them to volunteer. Send some type of communication. You know, be consistent in sharing your story and getting people's attention. So, question and hopefully some answers. I hope that was inspiring. I hope that resonated with a few of you. Comments, questions, you have 1 minute. Raise your hand if you're going to have your own YouTube channel in the next month. You're going to get more attention than everybody else. You're going to get more donations.
We have one.
You have one. You're already up and running. That's fantastic. And so, have you found it beneficial?
Yes, absolutely.
So, what's like the one biggest takeaway that you've found with your channel?
Videos don't have to be as complicated or as complex as you might think.
Did everyone hear that? You don't have to get a huge production company and get spend thousands of dollars. So what you do? So what's your You just use a basic camera, basic microphone.
Yeah, I find people like to watch people. They want to see someone they can relate to. So we just film a lot of people. We ask them questions. We film their response.
Oh, those are my best YouTube videos have been when I'm in an interview with somebody. I get at least 3 times more hits on that.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's not hard.
It's not.
No.
I used to plan my videos, and I would like do a lot of editing. It would take me 3 hours. And then I just did interviews, and I just had good sound. Psh, it literally 30 minutes of editing. Okay.
What's the average length of your YouTube?
Good question. Usually, I've got some that are 20 minutes, but those are very rare, and that's when I'm like doing an interview with like a radio station or a TV. But my personal ones are usually anywhere between 6 and 10 minutes. And the great thing with YouTube is like you can go into the statistics, what they call retention, which is a very important word for fundraising. The whole concept of if you have a donor, you want to keep a donor. It's the same thing. If you have a viewer, you want to keep a viewer. And so YouTube gives you all the track. It gives you, that's the great thing about social media. It wants you to be successful. Because Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, they can't be successful if their users aren't successful. So YouTube is going to give you all the statistics to tell you how good you're doing. And they're going to give you recommendations. Like one time I had a really good video and YouTube was like, you did really fantastic and we think it's because of this. I'm like, well, thank you, YouTube. That's great. I was like, there I have it's like $80 billion company all of a sudden working for me. Thank you. I didn't even pay them anything. So yeah, 7 to 10 minutes. But you can start with 2, go to 3, go to 5. The best recommendation, on YouTube, at least 3 minutes. At least 3 minutes. I think I'm over. We've got the...
9 o'clock downstairs, so I'll just send a message to this one at 9 downstairs.
If you have any questions, come find me, heckle me, go to my website, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because this stuff works. It really, really does. And it's free.